can take your seat here. The Prime Minister can sit first, followed by the Deputy Prime Minister. Can we have Mr. Ibrahim H. Seka and Seni Gitteh?
I'm rushing to Carnifing for my second class.
And Mr. Yaya A. Bojang, the closing government. Here. Yaya A. Bojang. And finally, Mr. Tomani Kamara, closing opposition. Sorry for not giving you enough time. So, while we wait for them to serve the food, and we get into the debate proper after they serve the food.
Members of the high table, the ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alassane Gitteh, known as the Approachable Gitteh. I am here to support the motion which says that this House believes that the requirement obtain a police permit before embarking on a protest is a human right violation. Before going further, I would like to give you the structure of my debate. First of all, I will give you the definition of the key terms, set the perimeter of the debate, give my points, summarize, and conclude. Now, some of the key terms that I have here, one of them is requirement. According to the World Web Dictionary, something that is needed in advance is a requirement. Now, protest. Express opposition through actions or words. And you have human right. What does human right means? Any basic right or freedom to which all humans are entitled and in whose exercise a government may not interfere. Therefore, a human right entails the freedom of expression and the government intervention is not required. So we move ahead to setting the perimeter of the debate. This House believes that the requirement obtain permit before embarking on a protest is a human right violation. We are talking in the context of a peaceful protest with regards to opposing our basic rights, trying to defend our rights. We protest peacefully. All right. One of the points that I have is to claim our right. Why is it important that we express our freedom of expression? Number one is claiming of our right. We believe, according to Abraham Lincoln, he stated, and I quote, 407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the propositions that all men are created equal. In the Gambia, we live in a democratic state, and I believe that as democracy is governing us, we all have the right to claim for what belongs to us. So therefore, when we see anything that does not match with what we want, we have the right to claim for that thing. The second point that I have is the dissatisfaction of implementation. In the Gambia, anything that is not going by right, the people have the right to actually, claim for a dissatisfaction in that, and the implementation of those policies have to be made. Otherwise, we will not move as a nation. Taking the example of what happened at Banjul, the ferry terminal, when the ferry stuck in the river, and then that is life-threatening because people out there are fearing the outcome of what might happen, So therefore, I believe people have the right to go out and demonstrate on those type of, actions that is happening. The government need to, do something about those things. If we do not protest, our rights cannot be claimed. Yes. go for this, to go for something that they see as a satisfaction in their life. He's talking about the aspect of the Constitution that talks about that. Okay, the fact that we live in a democratic state and the human right is governed in every other law, and the human right talks about the freedom of expression. Here I quote, the human right as articulated in international documents like the Universal Declaration and the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights emphasize the right to freedom. This allows individuals to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media, regardless of frontier. It protects speech, press, and assemblies. So we, human beings, we are governed by the human right. Even the Gambia is part of those democratic states that are part of the human right. Therefore, he cannot refute that statement. Let's continue. Amendation of policies. We believe that policies, needs to be amended. And therefore, yes, please.
I have a question with regards to the content that you are presenting to us today.
Please hurry up. Time is against us.
Yes. The question is, having a permit or is a requirement that one should have, and which is a human right violation. You said, yes, that is true. We said, no, that is not. But with what you are saying, it's like you are challenging your motion. So what did you say to that?
Actually, I'm supporting the fact that there shouldn't be any, there shouldn't be any problem with trying to protest for your right. That is actually what I'm saying, if you were listening carefully. What? Let's continue. The freedom of expression. It is believed, even in the university, that students have the legitimate right to protest, as it happened in the case of transportation, when the students go about, because in the university we have what is called, the academic freedom. The academic freedom gives the students rights, as it is stated in the one of the courses, which cultural studies, which says that every academic have the right to express his or her academic freedom, and therefore that gives us the right to protest. When we do not have the boss, we protested against it, and it was all right. All right, thank you so much for the time. I hope we shall continue again.
Thank you. Let's have the opposition leader on board, please. Thank you. Yeah.
Good afternoon. I am Ibrahim Echseka, a representative of the opposing camp, and I'm here to state on the motion which we are going to against it. We state that the House believes that the requirement to obtain a police permit in the Gambia before embarking a protest or demonstration is a human rights violation, which we say a big no to it, and we have our reasons. We know historically there were several demonstrations which were planned to be embarked within this country. And some of them are the Occupy Westfield in 2017. We also have what we call the Tafador in 2019, the Bring Back Chibo Rate in 2023, and the recent one, which is the Cessna in 2024, which were all protests. But again, we must understand the meaning of a protest. A protest is where people showcase their grievances. But how are you going to do that? You have to follow a due protocol. In following those due protocols, you have to seek.
In your definition of protest, where is the reference that you are getting it from?
In a protest because of here we believe that in the constitution of the Gambia, whoever wanted to organize a public gathering, you must seek for a permit. And in the definition, here when we are talking about protest, we have different segments of the protest. But we are going to concentrate on the police permit, which is the protest which we are going to discuss here. So here you are going to concentrate on the protest which must come with a permit. And you cannot do a protest without a permit. And we know that for you to obtain a permit in the Gambia or any other country within this country, there must be a protocols. In those protocols in which you have to follow by. And here we are talking about the police permit. You have to first go to the police permit and request for a permit to protest on a particular reasons. And the police will either accept you or deny your permit. So when you say that a protest or a permit is something which is a human right violation, it's not something which doesn't hold any water. Again, the simple reason why we say that obtaining a permit in this country is not a human right violation. Because of what? There are certain kind of permits which are into protest. Because of us, a custodian of the law, that is, here we are talking about the police. They are here to make sure that laws and orders are abided within this country. There are certain kind of protests or permit in which individual organizations will request for it. Because of the police are there to maintain the laws and order. There are certain kind of permits or protests or purpose protests which we know that they are not genuine. Because of what? Some of them are based on political reasons, and some of them may disturb the life and livelihood of that particular country or society. That's why in any protest, you have to seek for a permit, and obviously when you are seeking for a permit, there was a document which is already written, and you have to submit and wait for a response. So you can just come here and say that requesting for a permit in the Gambia is a human right violation. It's never a human right violation, which I believe that the House and also the audience in here, they believe in that. Because of everything, whatever you are doing, must follow an order. If the police deny you a permit, obviously it's their constitutional right. Because of what? We have to know that in the Gambia, still now we have been governed by the 1997 Constitution. The 1997 Constitution governs all of us here. It's why you have the University Act, it's why you have the Public Act. So anything which is against the public, which is in the interest of the public, obviously is something which the police have to look onto. It's not, if it is something which is not in favor of a particular society, they have to deny it. We move again. As I was just telling you in history, and most of these protests or permits which were rejected in this country. For example, we have the seasonal permit which was rejected by the office of the IGP. And one of their reasons which they stated is the upcoming of the RIC. We know that is something which is just true. Because you can give someone something, but you never know where it will end. And in the country we are expecting this. So obviously whatever the police have to do, it must be something which will be well calculated. Again, we also have what we call the Occupy Westfield in 2017. We will know that this was a permit which was politically motivated. And the office of the Inspector General of the Police Station of the police are the one, because at the end, we have to know that the Gambia doesn't have that much required personal service or forces to be able to control whatever happens in the Gambia. This is something in which we have to consider. That's why whenever the police deny you a permit, knows that it's not a human right violation, but something for the protection of that particular society or country. Because we have been seeing here protests going on in this country. For example, the April 10 and 11, we have seen what has gone within this country, where lives were lost. Some people got missing, others were injured up to date. That's why it is upon by the police to determine which type of permit they have to give to an individual organization, or they have to reject. This is something which is very important, and I believe that Gambia as a law-abiding country, where every citizen feels safe, where every one of us here can go at any time. Thank you.
Must I remind the deputy, sorry, the leader of the opposition that protest he is saying it, should I say, led to conflict or problems, or should I say he said that there were protests, there were people that asked for protest and they were denied. Those denial led to problems. Do you know that? They were denied the protest to cause problem, and that denial led to problems. Secondly, he said again that protest requires protocol. But I again want to remind you, those protocols is time consuming. Sometimes you may not be even given the permission to do that, and it's their right. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tamsir Toure. I am the Deputy Prime Minister. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I think
Hurry, please.
my voice will do. Now, thank you so much for the point that you mentioned. You said that following a protocol will cause a lot of loss in time of trying to remedy a situation. So what outcome will that bring when that protocol, without following that protocol, do you think there will be no repercussion attached to that?
Maybe you may not have heard me. I said
Yes.
that your opposition leader said that if one wants a permit, there is a protocol he or she should follow, right? And I told him that protocol sometimes can be time consuming, and in fact it is possible he or she may not be given the chance to do the protest, and that can lead to problem as well, because if they are not given the chance to do protest, that can lead to conflict, is what I said. All right, now I'm supporting the motion that citizens do not require police permit to protest, and here are my points. Point number one, that preventing undue limitation on protest, requiring police permit can create unnecessary barriers and limitations on the right to protest. Right? Yes. As I said, limitations, and my boy has already said it here, the Prime Minister has said it here. Don't citizens have the right to protest? You understand? And we all know that, he said it here that it's peaceful protest. We are not only saying, to protest, but to peacefully, protest. They should be given the chance to protest. That does not, require, going to the police and taking permission here and there. It does not, require it. Second point is encouraging, citizens' engagement and participations. Now, remember, removing the need for a police permit encourages, greater citizens' encouragement and participation in the democratic process. Now, I want you to know, some citizens are very lazy. If they have to go for police permit in order, to get the chance to do their, protest, they may not have the time, or that may even, discourage them. They will not go, right? The other thing is, you have to again, yes?
Yeah. Point of correction. First, I will start with the protest and also demonstration, because there is a difference between a protest and also a demonstration. Would you say that a peaceful question? Good, no problem. So, with regard to the protest in which you are saying that it might be time consuming.
Yes.
Then do you think that time could, because here we are talking about protocols.
Yes.
And in dealing with protocol, there must be segments in which each and every department must have something to do in there.
Yes.
What do you say about that one?
The protocol can be time consuming, and again, it may not be granted, and that can lead to a problem. Do you know that? It's what I said, and it's very clear. Now, I'm giving my other point, that is, maintenance, peace, and orderly society. Many protests are peaceful and organized. We have seen, protests that are very peaceful and they are very organized. Now, so by not giving them, by not giving, these innocent again people the same right, it can again lead to, problem as well, right? Now, you have to know, upholding freedom of speech and expression is again part of it. Granting citizens, the right to protest without a police is essential for protection of basic human right. That is a basic human right. They have all the right to protest, without taking any police permission. And we have seen these 3 years, journal, their protests caused problem. Do you know why? They were not given the permission, and they said, they will do it by force. Sometimes you are saying if you give them the chance to protest, it may lead to problem, and that denial again can lead to a very serious problem. So allow them to exercise their basic human rights. Those are my points. If anybody have any question, yeah. Sorry, someone is calling. Yeah. Ask. You want to ask?
Okay. Yes. With regards to all the rights to protest, what of all the rights to maintain law and order? How do we do that if you do not seek permission?
Come again, please. I said come again. I'm not getting you.
You as a citizen have all the rights to protest in a country. But
yes,
as a citizen also, or as the police officer, he has all the rights to maintain law and order in the country. So if you do not get the permission and go and do the protest, how did he expect him to carry out his duties as an officer?
If you don't get the permission, that can cause a problem as well. It's what we are emphasizing here. Either they give you the right to do it correctly, or that denial can cause problem. Senator, ask.
As long as his time is not finished, you can ask more. The time for questions, you can continue. No, he's done.
You want to ask?
Good afternoon, wonderful listeners. I stand before you as the sociable, available, and reachable to give you that to oppose the government bench, and I will strengthen one of the points of my speaker because I am the deputy. It's my duty to do that. And I will debunk some of what they have mentioned as the government today. Now, if we look at the topic, the motion states that this House believes that the requirement to obtain a police permit in the Gambia before embarking on a protest or demonstration is a human right violation. So I will strengthen what my partner said, as I said earlier on, that is, he said, now if permission is given via protocols, permission is given via protocol, there are things that we need to follow, and this permission cannot be granted until some people are responsible. These are the police. It is their duty to warrant, to have what it takes to give people the permission to go ahead with something. They are the security. They should be respected for what they are doing. People cannot behave anyhow because we are human. We are the highest class of living things. That is why in science, I quote, it said, mammals are the highest level of living organism because this status is attained due to the fact that they have the most advanced form of brain. And that is fine. Now, when that is the duty of the police, I will also debunk the point that Mr. Alassane Gitteh, the first speaker, mentioned. He said, he quotes from the cultural studies, and I will let him know that cultural studies is just a book for the university student. This is wider than that level. We are not talking about a section in the country. We are looking at the spirituality of a particular country, and you are bringing in a portion of this university, that is to say, us. That is outside the box. We should be very careful in trying to quote some of the things, because this is police and it is state. It's wider than the universities. That is what we are looking at. That is a point to be considered. And also, the second speaker also mentioned that it is a long overdue, to go in for, let's say, a peaceful, warranting, to be warranted or be given the right and the permission to go ahead with what you have. That is, the police people should not have what it takes to go to the police and look for what? A warrant to go ahead with what they want to protest. He thinks that is. In fact, without doing that, we will be able to restore more violence, more conflict, more misunderstanding in this country. Because the country will be in the hands of no one. Yes.
According to you, like the police, when we want to seek a permission, we have to seek from the police, which is a protocol. Now, what does it matter in seeking a permission from the police when we are in a democratic state?
Okay, good. As long as the definition of democracy state is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This definition does not simply mean that people have what it takes to do as they like. People are being governed by a government, and we have to understand that. And the government is responsible for the affairs of the state. So if we want to do something, we are told to go for a particular department to address that situation. I think I have answered your question. If you have a better question, you can come with that. All right? So let me address this situation, because in his mind, it is a long procedure to go. But let me remind you, the security of this country is our responsibility. It is not only the government's responsibility, but the police are given that right for us to go and seek for that permission. We don't want to put this Gambia in another trouble or in another case. The Gambia is the smiling coast of Africa. Why? Because the people are lovely and friendly. We are not accustomed to that. We are not barbaric. We are human. The fact that we are mammals, we have the conscience. We have the logic, the head. That is why we are always at the same peaceful level. We are not looking for things that will crumble this country, because we know our fate already. What does it worth it to go in for such? If you have a question, you better ask. I think I am done with all that I have to say. I have summarized everything that is needed. If you have a question, you can ask. Do you have a question? Yes. I have a question.
Okay, like you said, living in a democratic state does not mean that a person can do what they want. During Yaya Jammeh's time, we are made to recognize that people like Pamodu cannot go to the radio and say whatever they want, because we believe that we are in a freedom of expression, like we are in a democratic state. Can you relate that to what you are saying?
Okay, good question. Now, I will first bring a statement to clear what you are saying. Now, you will realize that in osmosis, there is what we call semi-permeable membrane, meaning a portion of water is being taken upward. That is the same situation in a democratic state. Not everyone have what it takes to do anything that we have freedom to speak, to say what we want to say. Those that give us the right to do what we want to do. The fact that you are the head of the compound, let's say in a real situation, you are the head of the compound. Those that warrant you to do anything that you want in that compound, my friend, even your children will run away from you because you are not a good leader. That is the reality. So that example is okay. If you have a better question, come up again. Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm done. Okay, I am good in summary. So to conclude this situation, I will strengthen your point as Gambians. I will address all of us at once. It is our collective responsibility to make sure anything that will make a difference between us, let us stay in aside and follow the program. Thank you so very much.
Everybody, I'm Yaya Bojang, representing here for the government bench. And a member of the government bench. Okay, as I said, I'm a member of the government bench, and I support the motion which says that there should be no permit for a citizen to make a peaceful protest. the Prime Minister has already set the perimeter of the debate, that we are advocating for a peaceful protest, not just any protest. But before I start, I would have to tell you the structure of my debate. That is, I will strengthen the points of the government bench and also do my reportals and then summarize. Now, we will have to understand that a protest is a show of dissatisfaction to a government or a group of people. That is, you are not satisfied with what they do. Should you be permitted to say whatever you want to say, especially when you are trying to disapprove people that you have elected? Should you wait for until elections and you say that you do not want the government that is there? We as individuals, we understand that people are not perfect. And as far as accountability is concerned, you have to say what you wish to say, especially when they are not serving you. I said, these people are trying to advocate that we are not citizens that are required to say whatever we say, but we have to go through bureaucracy where a government has to decide whether you have to speak or not. Is that a rightful way of protecting the lives of people? And the people from the member of the opposition said, you talk about security. Maybe he doesn't understand what security means. Security has to be with protecting the lives of people. When your rights are violated, what kind of protection are you trying to talk about? Is that security? There is no security in that. We are talking about security where the rights of the individuals are protected. And as far as the Human Rights Commission is concerned, especially the American Human Rights is concerned, it states that in Act 5, that anybody or a citizen is not required to seek for a permit to make a peaceful protest. And who are we as far as we are a democratic country? Meaning our democracy is substandard in the event that we have that law in our constitution. So meaning what? It is undemocratic as far as the international laws are concerned. Yes?
Now, do you think in the Gambia, do you think in this current Gambia here,
yes,
peaceful protest is not going on? In your own perception, do you think peaceful protest?
We are saying that. We are not saying a peaceful protest is not going on. We are saying that there should be no permit for an individual to say whatever you want to say. That is when you are dissatisfied with the government. I think you miss your point. Now, let's understand this. The Occupy Westfield, we understand that individuals wanted to protest, but they were given the permit and later denied. In the event that citizens are subjected to bureaucracy, government to decide whether you should speak or not, I'm telling you there is no freedom of expression. And that is a violation of human rights. Meaning that law of the Gambia is in contravention with the human rights laws. And in that case, it is undemocratic. So we are saying that there should be no permit for individuals to say whatever they want to say, especially when they are dissatisfied with the government. It is just like here in the university, School of Education. If you want to protest or feel any dissatisfaction against a lecturer, you have to take the permission of the dean. When should you be heard? Will you be heard? Because the dean will never allow you to say, especially when it is against the administration. So that's what is the government doing in terms of restricting the voice of the people. And as far as a democratic government is concerned, you should empower people to say whatever they feel like, and also to say when they feel it is dissatisfactory to them. So that is why to say, I'm saying there should be no permit as far as democracy is concerned. There should be no permit as far as the Human Rights Convention is concerned. That says that there should be no permit for an individual to come and sit or say something or to march peacefully instead of just making a violent reaction. That is what we are saying. That is a peaceful protest, and everybody should enjoy that as far as you are a citizen. You should not be scared, you should not be detained, and you should not be beaten for just trying to speak your mind or say a dissatisfaction against the government. Yes? Before coming to the dean, we have to understand that in any democratic setting, good, I have to come there. So you have chosen the dean as a typical example.
Yes.
Don't you think that if the dean is so professional and have that leadership attributes, and one of the dean staff is doing something which is against probably the way our institution being governed, then do you think that the dean should not intervene in that regard? Intervene. We are saying that the dean is an authority here. That's what we are talking about. The government is the authority and the one that are governing the laws and they implement the laws. Now, if you feel a dissatisfaction, you have to go and tell them, this is what I want to say to the government. Would they allow you to say it? This is what happens to the protest that happen should happen. Those that are against, the ferry services. They say that they should not speak because they believe that they threaten the OIC that is coming. And the citizens have the right to protest when they feel that they are not okay with the system. That's what we are talking about here. So, now to summarize on my point, I have already reported what they have said. It means they do not understand the point of discussion here. And I have also strengthened the points of my Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister. So to tell you that we believe that there should be no permit for a citizen to say whatever you feel like saying. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Standing before you today as Tumani Kamara, here against the preposition, which says this House believes that the requirement to obtain a police permit in the Gambia before embarking on a protest or a demonstration is a human rights violation. First and foremost, I would like you to take you through what has happened in history. Throughout history, past protests have been driven behind some of the most powerful social movements, exposing injustice and abuse demands and accountability, and inspiring people to keep hoping for a better future. Nobody is denying those facts. But as a matter of fact, what we are trying to look at here is the way in which those movements are organized and coordinated. It is very, very important. And as some of the speakers from the House of the Motion claims that there should be no permit, there should be no permit, that everybody should understand. There should be no permit in order to embark on a protest or a demonstration. Then why the need for security, if that is the case? Why? Why the need for security if there should be no permit? Of course, we need security in order to coordinate and organize those permits. For example, I'll take you through of what has happened or what history or what protests have developed some other countries and of course degraded some other countries. If you take America as an example that everybody looks up to as the godfather of democracy. But those, they follow protocols. They follow protocols. And through those protocols, they are able to achieve their goals. But if you do not, and you believe what you are doing is right, you are also, in one way or the other, whether you know it or not, affecting other people's unknowingly without taking that due permission. Now, let's look at Rwanda as an example. What has happened between the Hutus and the Tutsis? A mass massacre, genocide, when there is no security, when there is lack of coordination, and when there is no permission for protests. A massacre, a genocide, that almost take Rwanda to a zero number of citizens. Now, do you want us, the Gambians, who has been known in the whole world as the smiling coast of Africa, to behave in such a manner? Where in this world, who in this world will call us again the smiling coast of Africa? Who? Nobody. So it is very important that we know. Hence, it is a setting and it's a formal setting. You need to follow those formal conventions in order to achieve. Now let's look at what happens in our neighboring country, Senegal. How many times the oppositions have been pinned down? We have all seen it. How many times have they been pinned down? Not once, not twice, but times without number. They have been pinned down, alleged, accused, imprisoned. What happens at the end? Victory for them. But throughout the course, because they have an agenda, they have a focus, and that focus is to get to the top. But how do you get it? Hence, you are in a conventional level. You have to follow the protocols, and which they do, and they were able to achieve the goals that they set in the inception. So for anybody to stand before us today and tell us that as Gambians, you do not need a permission, what are you calling for? You are calling for chaos. You are calling for anarchy. And such things should not be tolerated in this country, I believe. And I believe everybody seated here today have the same. We have burning issues, that's true. We have issues that left scars, wounded scars. But
when you talk about Senegal and the
Senegal.
Yes, Senegal.
When you talk about Senegal, there was a restriction on
Can you go straight to your point, please? You are wasting my time.
when you talk about Senegal, there was a restriction on protest.
Can you go to your point?
So my question here is,
okay,
what does the consequence of that, refusal of protest yield? What does it yield? It lead to a problem. You buttress on that, please.
It says when there was a refusal, for how many times they have been refused? I can tell you for free that now those people are happy and living in the state house. That is the final result. And no other thing. They have been refused once, two.
So are you happy that they have been beaten for the state house?
Okay.
You don't have to answer that.
Okay.
It is time already.
Yes. Okay. You can, but you don't have to.
Okay, let me help him. Why do you, please repeat yourself. Ezzy, repeat yourself. Okay, I would have helped you out. Anyway, thank you.